The rejection came quietly this time, sliding across the polished desk like an unpaid bill, and something inside Anna collapsed even before she turned away. She had learned to recognize that look in offices across Ohio and Pennsylvania, the careful smile that tried to hide discomfort, the polite tone that meant her shoes were too worn, her resume too thin, her life too poor to be worth the risk. Her fingers tightened around the folder she had printed at the public library, edges soft from being opened and closed too many times, and she wondered, not for the first time, what you would do if every door seemed to close before you could even knock. Anna stepped back into the late afternoon street, the city humming around her with a life that never seemed to notice she was struggling to breathe inside it. She had grown up believing hard work would be enough, that effort would eventually be seen. But poverty has a way of making people invisible long before it makes them desperate. Her mother had died years earlier, her father even before that, and the small apartment she shared with her younger brother felt more like a promise she was constantly failing to keep. She wasn't asking for pity, only for a chance, yet the world kept reminding her how expensive chances could be. That evening, she walked into a quiet cafe near the business district, not because she could afford it, but because the owner allowed her to wipe counters in exchange for a free meal when things were slow. The cafe smelled of coffee and warm bread, and for a moment it felt like safety. She folded her coat carefully over the chair, hands rough from work that never seemed to last, and stared at the counter as if looking too closely might reveal how close she was to breaking. If you were sitting there, with hope thinning like worn fabric, would you still believe someone might see you as more than your circumstances? Michael had come into the cafe without thinking much of it, another pause between meetings in. A life built on schedules and margins. As the CEO of a manufacturing firm headquartered in Chicago, he spent most of his days surrounded by confidence, numbers, and certainty. Yet something in that room slowed him. He noticed Anna not because she was loud or dramatic, but because she looked like someone holding herself together with quiet determination, as if letting go would be too dangerous. Her posture wasn't defeated, just tired in a way that came from carrying responsibility alone for too long. He watched without staring as she worked briefly behind the counter, her movements careful, respectful, never assuming she belonged there even while earning her place. There was dignity in how she held herself, a dignity that had nothing to do with money or titles. Michael found himself wondering how many times she had been overlooked, and whether he himself had ever been responsible for missing someone like her. The thought unsettled him because it asked something uncomfortable of him, something deeper than charity. Over the next few days he returned, not out of habit but curiosity. Anna never asked for attention, never explained her story, and that restraint drew him in more than any rehearsed pitch could have. When he finally learned from the cafe owner that she had been searching for steady work for months, something shifted. It wasn't sympathy that moved him, but recognition. He had started with nothing once, too, though time and success had softened that memory into something safer, less sharp. Michael offered her a chance, not framed as rescue but as work, real work with expectations and respect. It wasn't glamorous, just an entry-level position at one of his company's smaller offices, but it came with stability. Anna listened carefully, weighing every word, afraid that believing too quickly might hurt more than hoping at all. She accepted with a nod that tried to hide how much it mattered. If you were in her place, would you trust that this moment was different, or would you brace yourself for another quiet disappointment? The first weeks were hard. Anna arrived early, left late, and learned faster than she thought possible. Driven not by ambition, but by gratitude she refused to turn into obligation. She struggled with imposter syndrome, with the feeling that her past might follow her into every room, but something unexpected happened. People began to listen to her. Her ideas, shaped by years of problem-solving without resources, carried a practicality others admired. Slowly, she stopped apologizing for existing. At home, her younger brother Samuel noticed the change first. The apartment felt lighter, meals more regular, laughter returning in small, careful amounts. Anna helped him with homework at the kitchen table, her tiredness now mixed with purpose instead of fear. There was no dramatic transformation, no sudden wealth, just the steady rebuilding of a life that had been paused by hardship. Samuel's presence grounded her, reminding her why dignity mattered, why being seen was more than personal validation. Michael watched from a distance as Anna grew into her role, not as a favor he had done, but as a reminder of what leadership could be. He realized how easily success could narrow a person's vision, how many stories he might have dismissed simply because they didn't arrive polished. There was regret in that awareness, but also resolve. Kindness, he learned, wasn't soft. It required attention, humility, and the willingness to be changed by what you see. Months passed, and Anna was no longer the woman silently folding her coat in a cafe. She spoke with confidence now, still gentle, still careful, but no longer shrinking. Her past hadn't disappeared, but it no longer defined her future. She volunteered on weekends, helped others navigate job applications, and treated every person she met with the respect she had once been denied. She understood now how powerful a single moment of compassion could be, how one person choosing to see worth could alter an entire life's direction. Sometimes, late at night, she thought about all the times she had been rejected, and instead of bitterness, she felt clarity. Those moments had taught her empathy, had shaped her into someone who noticed the quiet ones, the overlooked ones. If this had happened to you, she wondered silently, would you close yourself off, or would you use the pain to soften your view of others? The story didn't end with applause or headlines. It ended with steadiness, with trust slowly restored, with a future that felt possible again. Michael continued leading his company, now more aware of the human weight behind every decision. Anna continued building her life, grounded in gratitude, but no longer defined by lack. Their paths crossed less often, but the impact remained, a quiet testament to what happens when someone chooses compassion over convenience. Before the story closes, take a moment and share your thoughts in the comments, especially if this reminded you of someone who just needed to be seen. And if this story truly touched your heart, gently consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, so more stories of kindness and second chances can find their way to those who need them most.